Happy Juneteenth, everyone. The stake starts now. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stakes. Rafi is joining us early to celebrate Happy Juneteenth, I guess. It's still a federal holiday last time I checked, no matter what MAGA's trying to do to discredit it, right, Raf? Yes. Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
Well, look, it's been a lot for the last week. We have cat butt early.
Has it been a lot, Tara?
I mean, it's only been a week since Senator Padilla was detained and thrown to the ground by federal officers in a building in which they escorted him into. And it's been 7 days since the last time we were all together. We were preparing for the No Kings rally in Philadelphia, and which was a huge success. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Rafi's very excited to be here with us to celebrate Juneteenth today. He's decided to give us cat butt early. Come on, Raf. He's the cutest thing. People have asked, they want to see Rafi. I let him in.
And my cats don't do this. They just sit next to me and like whine. It's, because they've already had 2 meals today.
Yeah,
it's not enough. They need
he's
more.
very excited about this, very, very excited about you being a star, but you're showing out. Okay. So yeah, so we were on our way to Philadelphia, which was a huge success. That we're going to talk about No Kings in a minute. But also, if you guys, for those who don't watch our Wednesday or Saturday shows, our friend Julie Roginski was stuck in Israel as the bombs were falling over Tel Aviv last week. And thankfully, she is now home safe with her and her family. She was there with her 13-year-old son for his bar mitzvah and her husband. And they were literally in a bomb shelter texting us, and we were keeping her abreast of what was going on. And thankfully, like I said, she was able to get out, but it was very harrowing.
Oh, absolutely.
Literally had to drive across the border to Egypt and fly out of Egypt. It was insane, but we're glad that she's back. What else has happened? Oh, I don't know. Let's say there was a military parade. Donald Trump can't decide whether he wants to go to war with Iran or not. First he said, he doesn't support Israel. Now it's like we don't know. We got the 2 weeks, the famous 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, can I play this clip really quick?
Yes,
we're just
please.
talking about it.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote: "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today. So
I don't mean to laugh.
Serious.
I don't mean to laugh.
Serious stuff.
But for all people of a certain age, the 2 weeks joke from the movie The Money Pit, which is one of the greatest Tom Hanks early movies. I'm sorry, it's one of my favorite. 2 weeks is a bunch of bullshit. Okay? 2 weeks is what you say when you have no plans on actually ever doing it. The 2 weeks come and go. We heard 2 weeks when it came to infrastructure, healthcare, anything he wanted that he didn't have an answer for. 2 weeks. And here he has 2 weeks.
How many infrastructure how many infrastructure weeks did we have? I'm trying to remember.
It was like 3 years worth.
Yeah, every week.
And a new healthcare
infrastructure week.
Right. And the healthcare bill too was supposed to be 2 weeks. We'll have a new one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's 2025, people. We've never seen it. It's kind of like the running joke of the coffee boy. Like what he does, he coffee boys people. All of a sudden, he doesn't know them. He was the coffee boy. I don't know him.
Never met him.
I don't know who he is. Ivanka, I've never heard of her. I mean, it's ridiculous what he does. And the 2 weeks is another one of those things. It is just absolutely absurd. And oh my God, Eileen, thank you for the laugh of the beginning of the show. Not Rafi to MAGA kiss my black ass. I mean, if it fits. Right, Rob? Oh my God, he's so cute. Anyway, so there's been so much, and
I made this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. 2 weeks, people. 2 weeks. I
Oh,
just and the thing about it is that someone actually, I think it was a British journalist that asked during that briefing today, after she said that, he was like,
yeah,
"Yeah, so Mr. Trump has said 2 weeks before, with
right.
other than what why should we believe him now?" And she
Yeah.
was like, "Because basically she's like, because I said so."
I will say that, for as ridiculous as the White House press pool has become, like filled with influencers and right wing people and like crazy Brian Glenn, who's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, who's at Right Side Broadcast News, which is like not even really new. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Anyways,
crazier than
still are
OANN.
yeah, I 10 times crazier. There are still some people in the press briefing room that ask legitimate questions, thank
Yes.
God.
Yes.
And there were 2 reporters today that asked about the holiday today, Juneteenth, and was like, "Is he gonna commemorate the holiday?" And she's like, "What?" And then she kind of just glosses over it and goes to the next person, like somebody else like follows up, which I was like, finally,
Mhm.
the journalists kind of like, piggybacking each other and asked Juneteenth. And she was like, "That's silly. I already answered that question. Next." And it's just like she is like a crazy a crazy person. My mom is texting me that my volume is very low, so I'm gonna fix my mic. I'm gonna turn it up
Okay.
a little bit.
There you go.
Okay, my volume is low. Anyways, so yeah, I mean she's she's something.
She is a piece of work, and, I just it's difficult to take people like that seriously. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
she's like a Baghdad Bob with a blonde wig, and
Yeah.
and
And
like
terrible, terrible, terrible makeup.
yes, I just like I mean, you can hire makeup people to help you if you're gonna be on TV
Listen,
every day.
listen, it is very apparent to me that none of these women have gay men in their lives, first of all.
Well,
Second of all, there's this whole thing called Mar-a-Lago face now, and
mhm.
it's it's a certain kind of I don't even wanna say plastic surgery, but I mean, that is some of it, but it's like it's
Oh,
the
they have a
overdone
lot of work.
filler.
Right.
Yeah, it's the overdone filler, it's the fake boobies, it's the fake tan, it's
The
the
sheath
fake hair,
dresses.
the sheath dresses that has that little thing that goes on the side, they all wear it. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and she fits right in.
Yeah.
It takes a special kind of bitchiness to be and dishonesty to do what she does
Mhm.
and how she does it, and
Yeah.
with such confidence, and it's
Oh,
like, "Do
yeah.
you hear yourself?" I don't know, but at least
The
but it is the job of the media, though, to call it out, and
It
the fact that
is.
he just I mean, there's a lot of influencers on
And
Instagram
she
and
Yeah.
TikTok that make fun of her.
Oh,
There's,
yeah.
like,
Well, it's easy.
that's right, and then there's, like, this guy that makes fun of, he's got a British accent, and he does it as if they were the British, the Empire from Star Wars.
Oh, yes, yes,
He's
yes, yes, yes. I've seen that. I've seen that. And it's
like, if
so
they
great.
it's
It's so
perfect.
well, and you know what the thing that's funny too is Caroline Levitt is so triggered by Caitlin Collins. I don't know if you've seen their interactions, but
Mhm.
Caitlin Collins is like, like a serious person and she's in the front row. And I gotta give it to her. I mean, she does a show at night. She goes and sits in the briefing room
Yeah.
in the daytime. I mean, she
Yep,
works really hard and
and they don't pay
she
her enough, by the way.
of course not, because she's
She
a
makes, like,
young woman.
$3 million a year, and Jake Tapper makes 7, and
Mm.
she does 3 times the amount of work.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
because
she's a young
CNN
woman, so
right,
of
she's the only
course.
woman, and yeah,
Rafi.
I know.
But
Rocky's in it.
but
He's in it today.
and listen, I mean, not to get on a tangent about this, but in the beginning, I was like, really? I was like, Caitlin Collins is going to get that time slot, but she really has done a fantastic job, and
I
she's
agree.
very, very good. I
I
think
was with
she's
you with
very
that.
good at her job.
It
Yeah,
was tough in the beginning, like, a little rough because she
yeah.
was better out in the field,
And she
but she's
came from
really
like the
settled
Daily
in.
Caller, didn't
She
she, or
did.
something?
She
Yeah,
did.
which
She
I
was
was
very
like,
young when she got all those opportunities, and she was, like,
yeah,
26 or something when but I give it to her. She's coming to her own. However you feel
yeah,
about the position she takes or how chummy she is with,
yeah,
Trump folks, she does a good
yeah.
job. So I'll
Yeah,
give her credit.
I saw someone in the comments saying 3,000,000 is a lot. Yeah, that's a shit ton of
Oh,
money. That's so
I'm
much
not
money.
saying it's right.
However,
I'm saying in
it's a
comparison. in comparison.
And you know, because I know that I remember Scarlett Johansson was like suing the production company of one of her movies once or something about pay inequity, and it was like, oh, she's getting paid like, you know, $12 million instead of whatever. I'm just making numbers up, but like, and it wasn't about, you know, her feeling like, oh, that's not enough. It was like not enough compared to her male co-stars, and it was
Right.
not enough compared to the other men who, and by the way, she's like top line, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? She's the draw.
Right.
And yet
Top
these
billing.
other people,
Yeah.
these other people who don't have the accolades and the awards and the, you know, the career that she's had and getting paid twice the amount, and you know, people like that too. And I don't know what Caitlin Collins, you know, situation is, but you have to pay out your agent, you have to pay out your manager, you have to pay
Yes.
out your publicist, you have to pay
Correct.
out your makeup people, you have to pick I mean, like, you know, it's a whole industry.
You're
that
not
kind of
pocketing that. That's right. You're not just
right.
pocketing
That
$3
is
million.
the trickle down economics of paying people like that. Is you know, there is a whole army of people who usually are employed by folks like that.
Mhm.
So you know,
Yeah.
but anyways, back to Caitlin
Yeah.
Collins and
And
Caroline
I only
Leavitt.
bring that up because today I was reading in Puck about what's happening with CNN, and that there's about to
Oh,
be there's about to be serious cuts with major talent because
I'm
they're
not
splitting.
surprised.
Yeah, because they're splitting Discovery and Warner Brothers up into two different things. They're bifurcating it, and the guy that's taking over the division that's going to have CNN under it is like the CFO. So he's a bean counter,
Mm.
and he's like, our ratings suck. We can make the same amount of money with a lot and trim all the fat. And so the fat there is, and I love Anderson, but Anderson makes like $18 million or $17 million a year.
My God.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And so,
I mean, he's good, but like, and he's been
Anderson's
there
one
a
of the
long
best,
time,
but like,
right?
you know, he's got a cushy job. And like, you know,
Yeah.
now that I mean, he does it best when he's out in the field too. This is like his best work when he's like in Tel
Yes.
Aviv now. But I mean, 18 million, and like Caitlin Collins makes 3, Jake
I
Tapper
know.
makes 7.
Especially in that time slot. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Correct.
time slot kind of
Correct.
it communicates a certain, you know,
Yes. I mean, it's
and
prime
to
time. I mean, 9 o'clock
yeah,
is prime time. That used to be like the slot to have. I mean, that was like, you know,
yeah.
so
That's the
anyway,
Rachel Maddow slot.
correct. And I mean, and she at least
She
makes
makes
money.
so
Like
much money.
she's earned it though. She's definitely
Yeah.
earned it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, it's it was top of mind because I was reading about that today, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So there's all of that. All of that is going on. And oh, by the way, the Trump family, the grift continues. The grifter in chief launched a freaking mobile service, Trump
Mhm,
Mobile.
mhm, mhm,
Amid all of this, Trump
mhm.
Mobile, and Trump acted a damn fool at the G7.
I know.
I mean, we forgot
And
all about that.
But there were so many things happening this past week that like literally a political, and I don't mean to make light because you know, we have talked about this on our
Oh,
other
yeah.
things, and it like very upsetting and jarring and scary. But like the Minnesota assassinations, political assassinations, like barely made the top
know.
line, you know, stories because
5
there was
days.
there's $100 million military parade, you know, dictator birthday parade. And then the day after that, one of the tanks that was still left in DC ran over a woman and killed her. And then we have New York City Comptroller Brad Lander, who's running for mayor, shows up to immigration court. And by the way, I just want to tell people, if you don't know, if you're not from New York, Brad Lander is a workhorse. He is
He's comptroller, right?
yes, he's comptroller. I think he used to be on city council too. He's done a ton of it for Gowanus. Like he represented the district, or used to represent the district in Brooklyn. He's very, very capable man, very smart and very kind. And I actually had a lovely conversation with him back in 2020 on the phone when I was still running Jerry Nadler's club here on the Upper West Side, because he was thinking about running for comptroller. And he was like, I hear you're the lady I got to talk to on the West Side. And I was like, I don't know about that, but like, I'm glad to meet you. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know how I can help you. But anyway, I say all that to say he's great. And so he shows up to immigration court and, you know, asks for something very routine, very normal. And this happens.
You don't have to. I'm not obstructing. I'm standing right here in the hallway. I asked to see the judicial warrant. By asking for a judicial warrant? You don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens asking for a judicial warrant.
Cross, we go too. Sorry. No way. I'm safe. I'm the Controller's press secretary. Where are you taking the Controller of the New York, the city of New York?
And with what authority?
Why are you arresting the city's controller, and where are you taking him?
All right? We got a security detail. This number one is going to go with him, all right? Hang on for his number one. Hold on.
For the
Brett,
number one.
that's his number one right here, all right? Thank you.
Outrageous.
Outrageous. This is
Outrageous.
I mean, they are really, it started with the judges, right?
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
and Congresswoman McIver in Jersey. And
Yeah.
now, and then Senator Alex Padilla last week.
Mhm.
And now the sitting comptroller of New York City,
Who's running for mayor?
who's running for mayor.
And separately, just as an aside, like, you know, as awful as this is, I am really kind of glad that it is put his profile kind of to the forefront, because he's getting national earned media right now, and interviews and stuff. He's everywhere, which is great, because I think that, I mean, for me, we have ranked choice voting here for mayor, which is like
When's the
a whole
primary?
thing.
Next week,
It's
isn't it?
now. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
now. I mean, the early voting is now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, unfortunately, it's not a binary choice between like one or two candidates. We have to rank 5. And if
Oh,
you don't
wow.
rank, if you don't rank all 5, then you're really throwing away a vote, right? Because they count the first round. And if somebody doesn't meet the threshold, then they go to a second round. And then this kind of, it forces some of the candidates to endorse, to form alliances and, coalitions within, so that they can push other people out. Now, people tried to do that 4 years ago with Eric Adams, and that didn't work.
Right.
Um,
Right.
And so I have been on this show, and in my private life and other places, have been vehemently against Andrew Cuomo, who has proven himself over and over again, not only to be a, sexual predator, an abuser within the
Just
workplace.
Yeah.
Just that. He is a bully. He is not who he ever presents himself to be. He is a Trump with a D next to his name. And that's just the God's to honest truth. And
Well, you live in New York City, so you have a vested interest in all of this, and you keep us
do.
all informed about
well,
like
and it's
the ins and
national
outs of what's
news right
happening.
now. And
Yeah.
it's national news right now. And so Zoran, I'm not going to murder his name. Namdani, anyways, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, Zoran.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
want to get
he
all
just-
into it.
He just
I don't
got
want to
him-
get
he
all
just
into it
screwed himself
because
big time.
Yeah, because he was on the Bulwark. And this is in addition to a bunch of other stuff that he has either refused to do to recognize things like Holocaust remembrance and other controversial things and
Yeah.
alliances and people that he has aligned with over the years.
Encampment people.
Mhm.
Yeah, those folks.
And so he defended some language on the Bulwark with Tim Miller. Tim Miller had him on and asked him to kind of like, how do you feel about this? Like, I mean, how do you defend this? And he doubled down on it and basically was like, well, it doesn't mean what Jewish people think it means. And you can't tell people
No.
what is offensive to them. You cannot
No.
tell a group of folks, you cannot indicate to them what is or what isn't anti-Semitic, racist at all.
No.
Right. So I made my, it very uncontroversially, made my opinion about that, because the U.S. Holocaust Museum had to come out and check him yesterday. Like,
That's
how
pretty
bad does
bad
it
when
get?
right, exactly.
And so, I was considering ranking him at first because, he
remember you
did very
saying
well
that.
in the debate. Yeah, did well in the debates, and I was like, okay, well, but then this happened and I was like, So this has made national news. And, I talked about it on Blue Sky last night. And when I tell you the mob that came for me,
I couldn't
it
like
was like, it was,
I was
a
like,
mob.
wow. Yeah, I mean, they're
Well,
as bad
because,
as
like,
MAGA.
Yes,
Mhm.
if not worse at times. And I've been on the receiving end of a lot of stuff over the years: threats, violence, all kinds of stuff,
Mhm.
harassment, trolls, including but not limited to the former now present president of the United States.
Right.
And this felt different. It felt different. Like there was a viciousness to it that was really quite awful. And also again, the binary choice, because I was like, oh, I'm not going to rank Zohran. It was like, oh, well, you must be supporting a rapist then. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah,
So
but
it's just
again, you
out of
have
control.
it's out of control, and you can't. But you also have to put it in perspective.
Oh,
Social
I
media is
know.
not real life. You know what I mean? So,
No,
but
no.
it is still unnerving to see that there are that
Yes.
many people that are like that out there. But
That's
people
kind
are
of where
rational. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They're keyboard commandos, and these are,
Yeah.
a lot of times those
It's
types of people, they're not rational. It's like last night when I was on MSNBC, and
oh
we were
yeah.
talking about Barack Obama. So
Mhm.
some of you may have seen that former President Obama stuck his head out a little bit and did an event with Heather Cox Richardson talking about the political moment that we're in. And
Mhm.
he made some comments about autocracy and how we need to pay attention to what's going on. And he gave some warnings, but I felt that it was
Yeah.
milk toast.
Yeah.
This isn't time for a lecture.
No.
Okay, we're not sitting in the hallowed halls of Harvard giving a
Mhm.
lecture on this. All due respect to Harvard, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
this is people are being arrested.
This is
Like,
life
okay,
and death.
right? I mean, like, there are tanks and active duty military in our streets, and
Mhm.
political assassinations happening, and judges and elected officials being arrested, and you're over here like mincing words.
I
And
know.
so,
And I love Barack Obama. And I mean, I was at both of his inaugurations. I have I have his picture on my wall. I love Barack Obama. My husband and I both. However, like, you have to be able to call stuff out when you see it. And like, in this moment, is it his responsibility to come out and save us all? No, of course not. To what and you said that.
right, I
It
did
was
and
more
I
about
would
like
right.
coming out, you
Right, I
know?
wasn't saying because like Simone and I are friends, so it was a friendly disagreement on
Yeah.
air where she defended Obama and was like, well, he didn't have to say anything at all, and he did his part. He came out during the election, and I was kind of like, and then she brought up George W. Bush. Well, if we're gonna go after him, then we should go after Bush. And I'm like, have you met me? I've gone
Right.
after George W. Bush. Like,
Right.
matter of fact, I just was like arguing with people on an Instagram post, and I brought that
Right.
up about that. Like, he should have spoken out more. But we
Yeah.
weren't told. The segment wasn't about George W. Bush. It wasn't
It
about
was about
Bush and
Obama.
Republicans. It was about Obama specifically. They like started the hour showing clips of Obama and showing clips of Gavin Newsom, and kind of like comparing
Yeah.
the moment. I mean, we've
Yeah.
had our issues with Gavin Newsom, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah, we've been
But
very critical of him, but he's meeting the
but
moment.
he's meeting the damn moment, and he did not mince words, and he went straight to them, and damn it, that's what you need to do. And people
Yeah.
are like, yes, fucking finally. And so,
Yeah.
like, listen, I've had my issue with the Obamas. Well, we're going to set that
Mhm.
aside. But Michelle Obama, she didn't mince words. Michelle Obama, like, at the DNC, killed it. And Michelle Obama basically was like, well, I'm out.
Yeah.
I did
Oh,
my part. I'm out. I'm going to go do something over here. But like,
yeah.
but my point was that if you are going to stick your neck out and put your toe in it, you need to put everything in. You can't,
Yeah.
this is not a time, especially when you have the platform you have, to
Mhm.
just be like, mince words. I mean, even the New York Times categorized it as, and I wrote it down, veiled
Right.
critiques and personal musings. And I'm like, no,
It
I had to
giving
quote Churchill again. I had to
know.
quote Churchill.
It
This
it
is
was
your influence,
giving
Michelle.
No, I know. I'm like, my former coworkers, despite it all, used to joke and be like, Michelle's a middle-aged Republican boomer or whatever, because of like my obsession with World War II history and like all this shit. And then I'd be like, yeah, I mean, whatever, it's great. But the Churchill stuff is great, and it really applies because their messages and their ideas and their ways of communicating that transcend,
Mhm.
eras. And here we are again, and like, learning, hopefully, by what he did and the things he stood up for. And he wasn't a perfect man by any means. None of us
No.
are. None of us are. But we try to do the best we
Right.
can. And Barack Obama, listen, in 2008 and 2012, he was the measured guy. He was the first Black president. Like,
Right.
he had, I mean, there was a certain amount of like, you know, control that he had to have. I mean, at all times. And I think that there was, eyes on him always, waiting for him to misstep, to make mistakes.
Of
And so,
course.
and he was
And
the most measured. I mean, people talked about how he would count out 7 almonds like at nighttime. Remember, like, do you remember that story where they said he
No.
would write at his desk at night because after everybody would like go home and stuff, he'd go into the Oval Office and sit there and he'd do some writing. And they were like, and he was so, I don't want to say calculated because that sounds kind of deviant, but like so controlled and measured and how he conducted himself that if he was going to have almonds, like he would count them out before he ate them.
Almonds. Like
What did you think I
almonds?
said?
Oh, it sounded like you said omens. Like I was like, what? I was so confused. Oh, you mean
No,
almonds, like
almonds.
nuts?
What are
Okay.
you saying? You're saying almonds.
Almonds, yeah.
Almonds.
I don't say it with
Anyways.
the L. Well,
No?
whatever. Okay,
There's an
we
L.
get it.
Anyways.
Well,
okay,
there
all
is,
right.
but anyway, okay.
Everyone's
That's your
saying the
upstate New
tan
York.
suit.
That's the upstate New York accent coming out.
It does come out every now and
A
then.
little bit.
I've had to
he
fix the
cuts
way I say
so
something.
he was counting out freaking nuts, almonds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ronald Reagan and his jelly beans. I mean, look, they all have their things. But your
Right.
point is that yes, he had to be because he couldn't be the angry black man and all of that.
Yeah,
And you know,
yeah.
and even
real.
then, when he would do a couple things that were like, like I'm blackity black, they'd be like, oh my God, he's a gangster. Remember, he had like
Right.
Jay-Z and
And
Beyonce
remember
in the
they
White House and they like freaked
and
out.
Michael Keegan, whatever. I always
Yeah,
get
yeah.
their names. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Key and Peele.
The Key and
Right.
Peele guy.
He had the Obama anger translator, and it became a joke that he, and he would go,
Hysterical.
he'd say something really, kind of, and then he would come out and give the angry version of it. And it was
Yes.
hilarious because,
Yes.
again, I think everybody was like, come on, man, just say it.
Yes.
Because they're
Yes.
like, and to Simone's point that she talked about last night is that his family, everything about him has been in the crosshairs and will always be.
Yes, but
because
you know
this
what though?
country,
But at the
yeah.
same time, I unfortunately, this is the price you pay when you're a public servant.
Mhm.
And you know what? In normal times, you could just fade away. Thank you very much for your service. You serve the people. You get to
Right.
go ahead and live your life, and that was usually the tradition with presidents. They didn't get involved.
Right.
We ain't living in normal times.
Right.
And
You
that
just
was my
leave.
point.
You leave and you go paint pictures of Cocker
Right.
Spaniels in
Right,
your
whatever
bathtub or
George
whatever.
W. Bush and Clear Brush in his ranch in Texas. God bless.
I know.
Except this is in normal times, and that was my point. And we started this diatribe before to say that people online, a lot of people came for me because they were like, "Leave Obama's name out your mouth. You are a Republican, and da. Don't tell us. Worry about your own party." And I'm like, again, have you met me? I've been spending the last 10 years holding the Republican Party to account. I left the party in disgust because of it. So I am an equal opportunity person here in this respect, where I've been
In the
calling out
truest sense
people
of the
standing
word.
up. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this instance, I'm like, okay, that's great, but I'm not going to give President Obama a cookie for saying some very erudite, measured things about the moment we're in. It requires a bit more fire in the belly because you can't just say, we are in a 5-alarm fire. I was on with Jim Acosta earlier today on his Substack, and we were talking about this as well. And I'm like, you can't run around saying that we're marching toward fascism and that this is a 5-alarm fire and we're in DEFCON 1 and then go out there and be measured and veiled in your critiques. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's as bad as the fucking strongly worded letters. I'm over it. Like people are
you
going
have
to
to
be
follow through.
Yes.
And isn't it such an example? I mean, otherwise of just how the Democrats, and I say this as a Democrat who loves all the Democrats and I support them, is how they've conducted themselves even through the last administration. And like how Merrick Garland, like if you're going to take these people to task, if you're going to take Donald Trump, somebody like Donald Trump to task and the people who stormed the Capitol, you better follow through. You cannot half-ass something like that. You cannot shuffle your feet and take your time. You have to be swift, you have to be precise, and you have to be impassioned with all the things that you're doing, because otherwise what happens is it's because what happens is when you're dealing with a malignant narcissist who can only operate in retribution, you get what we get now. That's what happens. That's when
exactly right.
Hitler went to jail for 9 months or something and then wrote a book and came back. I mean, like this is just history 101.
Yes. Yes. So that's where I was coming from. And people, now I also got a lot of people that were like, yes, thank God you're right.
Yeah.
Somebody needed to say it. And so there was that. I didn't get ratioed, but it was interesting though to see how many people were like irrationally coming for me just because their natural reaction was to just defend Barack Obama no matter what. And it was like, clearly you didn't watch the entire segment. And
Right,
even
that too.
Simone, to her credit, jumped in one of the threads and was like, because I was like, the segment was about Obama. It wasn't
Yeah.
about George Bush and other leaders. We were
Yeah.
specifically talking about him. So my
Yeah, it's not
comments
like
were in
you
the
brought
context
it
of
up.
that. Correct.
Right, because when
I didn't just randomly bring it
MSNBC
up.
Right, because MSNBC posted the clip, I think,
Right.
first.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like their version of it was much shorter and didn't give the whole story. And I was
Right.
like, when I was watching it, I was like, this is not all that happened. But then we posted the longer version of it.
Yeah.
But and to that point too,
And not like it,
you know,
I mean, not like it matters to me. I'd say
I know.
I'm saying again exactly what I said then.
Exactly.
And it's funny, every once in a while, I don't know, I come up with these things. And when I was when I was watching Obama's comments, the first thing I thought was when Obama said to Mitt Romney, you know, the 1980s called and they want their foreign policy back. Right? Because
which in
Mitt
hindsight, Mitt Romney was
Mitt
right.
Romney was right. He was talking about Russia being the biggest threat geopolitically at the time in 2012.
Yeah, he was right.
And that actually deflated Mitt Romney. He didn't know how to come back from that quip, which was too bad because he had Obama on the ropes in, you know, around in the first debate, and then he did that, and that was that, and the rest is history. But I thought to myself, 2012 called, and the campaign wants its tactics back because this is not 2012. And I don't know how many people got the joke. I hope they did. I thought
I did. I got it. I got it. But you know what else? It's like it's people with platforms in general that I mean, yes, Barack Obama is like his own special, you know, person with his own special platform, right? But we're also I'm looking at influencers, people who do skincare and all this other crap, right? I don't know if these people if you're watching, there's a guy named Andrewski on Instagram, and he's a trip. But he's really taking people to task right now. He's like, I don't care what it is that you're selling. I don't care if you're not willing to risk losing a few followers to say something about what is going on in this country. You don't deserve to have anything. And like, I mean, and he's really serious about it because, you know, he's a lawyer. He's this lawyer. I forget where he lives, but like, you know, he's like, I wasn't political until I was. And now I am. And now here I am. And same with people in the media, right? People who are willing to take risks. And so I say that in the Jake Tapper world. I don't know if people saw this, but he was at C-SPAN the other day. And they were taking callers. And there was a lovely woman named Sarah from Virginia. And she called in to let Jake Tapper know what it is that she was thinking.
Really don't like you. I think you're doing a disservice to Joe and also to the American people. When are you going to examine, you know, what is going on with Trump? Joe Biden conducted himself for 4 years taking care of the United States. He took meetings, he went overseas, he negotiated with other leaders. This president has been pure chaos, which indicates to me that there is something wrong with him. We will never get a straight answer on his medical examinations, what medication he is on. And yet you have gone after Joe Biden with a vengeance that I'm very disappointed in you. I enjoy watching your show, but not anymore. And I think right now you ought to start writing another book examining Trump and how erratic and what he is doing, calling out the National Guard, the Marines, and everybody. When has a president ever done that? It's pure erratic.
Okay, Sarah, they're in Virginia. Thanks.
Yeah, drink that water there.
Mr. Todd.
Thanks, Sarah. Sarah, as you know, from watching my show on CNN, we cover President Trump every day for 2 hours, every day from 5 to 7 Eastern.
I don't know about that.
And we cover all the things you talk about. In terms of the president, the current president's behavior, we have covered times that he has confused Nancy Pelosi with Nikki Haley. I think some of the questions about President Trump's behavior have more to do with personality than with cognitive decline.
There it is.
There it is. That is just so fucking infuriating. Infuriating. No, Jake Tapper, It is not just personality. It is cognitive decline.
I was
also,
like, bring
and
Sarah
they
back on the
know
line.
it.
Is she still there? I was like, bring
I
Sarah
know.
back because
I know.
it was
Come on.
unbelievable.
Come on. I mean,
it was a
just
personality thing, not cognitive decline.
Well, you know what? Even if it were just that, and we all know it's not, but even if it were, is that okay? Is it that there is a personality disorder? It's dysfunctional. It's not normal. It is a condition, and you're just fine with that, with this person that rambles on about things and tweets at all hours of the night and calls people scumbags and all kinds of Jake the Grabber.
I'm 12 and this shit makes me laugh. I'm sorry.
Oh my
Thank
God.
You so much.
You guys are the best, man. The internet always wins.
This is the best. I love our chat for the show. I really do.
But yeah, I mean, listen, there's a reason why they've lost like half their viewers. Okay. Jake's show has tanked. CNN had the second worst month of ratings in May in history, in the 40 plus years of history of CNN. So
yeah,
that it speaks for itself. It speaks for itself.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I just want to bring it back to the Juneteenth thing really quick because I just got a text from my friend Rob. Because we've been waiting all day from something from Dear Leader.
Oh my God!
And
what
it's
did
7:05.
Here we go.
God. Too many non-working holidays in America. It is costing our country billions of dollars to keep all these businesses closed. The workers don't want it either. Soon we'll end up having a holiday for everyone, every once working day of the year. It must change if we are going to make America great again. Because all the dog whistling all up in that language was all kinds of get back to work, you lazy people.
So for those who don't know, Juneteenth is the day that slaves in Texas, 2 years later after the Emancipation Proclamation, after National Guardsmen from New York and New Jersey traveled down to Texas, to Galveston, to let them know you're free. So could you imagine being under slavery for 2 full years after you've been liberated because you didn't know? And then you find out you're free.
Yeah.
And can finally,
And they kept it from you.
That's correct. And the people and their owners, the slave owners, knew it and kept them enslaved anyway. That, in a nutshell, is what Juneteenth is about. This is not just a Texas holiday. This is the history of this country and what has happened to Black Americans in this country. Okay? We're talking about slavery and
owning
people,
other human.
Right.
Yeah.
Free people being enslaved for 2 years longer after a whole freaking war was fought and being liberated. Okay? And these racist bastards, don't ever tell me that MAGA isn't racist or that the people who support him aren't racist. Because if they aren't directly racist, they're racist adjacent or they're okay with it because this motherfucker is a racist.
It's not a bug.
Okay?
Yeah, it's not a bug. It's a feature.
It's a feature. Of MAGA. And for him to be this disrespectful of that history, this is not in a vacuum. Okay? It's not just Juneteenth. And God bless Joe Biden and the activists. There's a woman, her name, it's escaping me right now. It's an older Black woman who is an activist that helped get this national holiday done. And God bless Joe Biden for signing it into law. But it's not just this. It's what's happening to the African American History Museum. Yeah. It's what's happening to the Smithsonian's. It's what's happening to anything that is not a white Christian male-centered focused thing.
Yeah.
And they're trying to erase history. They did the same thing in Tulsa with the Tulsa riots in Oklahoma. And what happened, they literally erased history. They erased.
I didn't know. I didn't know about that until however many years ago.
Erased it. They erased the archives and the newspaper stories about it. They had to form Opal Lee. Thank you very much, Alexis Hill. Opal Lee is the Black woman activist that helped get Juneteenth to become a national holiday.
And Jasmine Crockett was on The View this morning talking
I
about
saw
it too.
her
And
looking
being
fabulous
from
in her yellow.
Texas, I know she always looks so beautiful.
brings it.
But being from Texas too, I think, it's kind of the double.
Absolutely. I'm glad she was there to bring a face to it, to bring it real, to bring facts to what it is. And they are trying to erase history. Like I said, they did the example was what they did in Oklahoma. They literally had to form a commission.
Yeah.
And they tried to stop it from being taught what happened with the race, the riots, the Tulsa riots in 2019, which were started by white people. To burn down. To burn down the black neighborhood because they were too successful and they didn't like it.
Successful. They were too
Black
independent. They were too prosperous. And, here's where storytelling in Hollywood and these kinds of things can come into play and be very, very important in these situations, because in the first episode of Watchmen, which is based on the graphic novel or comic, whatever it is, but the newer one that's on, with Gina King, the newer one that's on HBO, the first episode, it's kind of like the origin story of these people is the Tulsa riots and the destruction of Black Wall Street. And it's the first several minutes of the show. And you're kind of like, what is this? What is happening? And it says Tulsa, Oklahoma. And you're like, huh? And so, and then I remember during 2020, Donald Trump holding one of his rallies in Tulsa. I think it was was it on the anniversary? It was something, or it was right. There was a significant day.
It was around that time. And it was also during COVID. It was the rally, I believe, that killed, what's his name? Herman Cain.
Herman Cain.
Yes. Yep. It was
the
first big rally.
His staff, I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny, but it's like his staff was still tweeting for him right up to the end. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. So I'm not dead. No, I mean, so again, there is all this history that they are desperately trying to erase. That's why they're banning books. That's why they're, they're saying it. This is all DEI. They tried it with critical race theory. It only worked up to a certain point because they don't teach critical race theory in elementary school or high school. It's a college course.
It's not literally not a thing.
Literally not a thing. But again, it was code. And now same thing with DEI. And it's infuriating. So it's important that if you haven't tweeted out or posted about Juneteenth today, celebrating it, please do. We have to make sure that our history is told honestly. It has nothing to do with running around and being like, everybody's a racist. No, it's our history. And it's a liberation day. And it's a day that is important for people to acknowledge in this country. And which brings me to, speaking of white Christian men.
Oh God.
Charlie Kirk.
I hate him. I hate him so much.
Michelle calls him a thumb because he
looks like a thumb. First of all, people, I want you to look at my thumb. Hold on. I want you to look at this and then look at my thumb.
Oh my God.
And I want it. Who wore it better? You know what I'm saying?
Draw a little tie on the thumb and you got Charlie Kirk. I mean, his head is even more swollen now. That's a younger picture of him.
It's even worse now. That's his high school. I found that on Reddit.
Oh my God.
His high school.
It's even worse now. And this guy is just such a piece of shit, man. But he's very well funded. He has started a whole movement, which was very smart of the right wing to do.
Hitler's youth.
Built. That's right. It's the brown shirts. They have been, cultivating this generation now for almost 10 years with this whole Turning Point USA bullshit in the model of CPAC.
Yep.
And now Charlie Kirk is like the authority on all things young Gen Z, I guess. Is he considered Gen Z or is he a millennial? I don't know, but whatever.
I'm not claiming him. I think he's Gen Z.
Okay. Sorry, Gen Z. You're stuck with him.
I'm moving him down. But the thing is, first of all, that he talks about himself like in this way, that he is, he is the all-knowing, he is the omniscient on, American culture and what's missing and what women need to do and why Black people. This is a man, first of all, I'm working on a video right now that I'm cutting myself. That's a super cut of just like some of the most horrible things that he said, talking about when I get on a plane and I see a Black pilot, I wonder, are they qualified? And he's like,
he said that.
Wait, this doctor's going to take out my appendix, but they're a Black lesbian woman. I don't know that they're qualified to be here.
He has said this.
Yeah, when women turn 30, they stop being attractive. Women who take birth control become like demons. I mean, he is a crazy person, and he's married, and he has children.
He's procreated, just like Stephen Miller. These people are procreating. So,
And they're having a lot of children.
Yes, of course, because they have these trad wives that are willing to do this. And why? Well, because they're trying to raise up now a whole new generation of young women to believe that they are subservient, and it's their, God's calling in their lives to be the baby birthing vessels for these fuckers. You don't believe me? Check out this back and forth, this exchange with Charlie Kirk and this, I think she's 14 years old, 13 or 14
She's
years
a
old.
freshman in high school.
Freshman in high school.
I want you to remember yourself as a freshman in high school. You are a child.
Yeah,
you're
freshman in high school.
Yeah.
Hi, Charlie. I'm Addie, and I'm 14. I'm a freshman in high school, and I was wondering, as someone who has like a different opinion on college, what would you say the pros and cons are? Because I'm interested in political journalism, and what would your advice be?
Yes, so let me also speak to some of the young ladies here in high school where you're taught.
Please don't.
Who's here where you're
First of all, I'm sorry, just really quick. The first red flag in any of these MAGA men, when they call us ladies or young ladies, that is the first telltale sign that things are not going to go well.
Correct.
Top priority. Your top priority is get married and have kids. Raise your hand. Okay.
Oh my God. Okay,
interestingly, I think there is an
argument. Can you stop it again for a second?
Yep.
I just want people to see, okay? His question was, how many of you, your first top priority is getting married and having children? And all of those girls raised their hands. Okay? It's 2025. What the fuck? Continue.
Argument to bring back the MRS degree. And no, seriously. And just be clear, that's why you're going to college, right? Don't lie to yourself. I'm studying sociology. No, you're not. We know why you're here. And that's okay, actually. And that's
again.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just need to stop this again.
No,
look at
please.
Him.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Yeah.
Look at him. I was like,
this
you're
thumb.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. This thumb. Yeah. Tom.
This mother thumber. Okay. This mother thumber over here is telling these girls that you're kidding yourselves if you think you're going to college to actually learn and be smart and have a career. No. You're going to get a Mrs. degree.
But he's just such a loser. That's the thing that gets me.
God,
he's this pathetic kind of listen, he, again, well-funded, well-spoken, whatever, who gives a shit. But out here acting like he is like Mr. Omniscient on all things and telling these ladies
he has influence, which is what is so enraging about this.
I know. People look up to
zillionaire. And look at this. Look at all these little girls listening to him like, I want to get advice from you. No, it's not from this mother thumber.
Reason to go to college, actually, especially an SEC school. You will find a husband if you have the intent to find a husband at Ole Miss. It's just going to happen, okay? Or wherever. Yeah, there you go, see? Or at University of Alabama.
Just really quick. Okay, sorry. I hate to start. I want you to look back because I'm just noticing this. I want you to look back past the line on the left side of the girls. There are grown women back there.
Are they cheering?
Yes.
Yeah, well, where do you think they came from?
I know.
You know what I mean? Who do you think brought them there?
There you go. But I always laugh because, and by the way, we should bring back the celebration of the MRS degree, which is, no, serious. I mean, if you think about it, I say college is a scam, but if you're going to find your life partner, that's actually a really good reason to go to college. You have a bunch of people that are single, they're at the prime of their, let's just say attractiveness. The dating pool is as robust as you'll ever find, and they all live together over a 4-year period. You don't get much better than that, okay? It doesn't get better after college there. And so, yeah, you could go learn some stuff. That's fine, I guess, or whatever. Just don't listen to your professors. But that actually was the reason why a lot of women went to college in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And it worked. Marriage rates have plummeted since that. So
Yeah, marriage rates have plummeted because, girls and young women went out into the world and realized, wow, I can do this on my own. And they said,
Right. I don't have to
I can
marry
get
for financial stability.
I don't need to marry someone so that I can get a bank account.
That's
I
right.
don't need, and also if I'm in an abusive marriage or anything like that, I don't need to stay in it because I can get divorced. And these are
Yes.
things that are like available to me now if I need to or if I want to, because God forbid a woman have freedom in this country.
Mhm.
And they hate it. They hate it. They
Yep. It's
cannot
all about
stand the
control.
fact.
That's
They
right.
cannot stand the fact because, and here's where the data comes in, right? And I wish I had it in front of me, but so I'm paraphrasing here about levels of happiness of men and women in this country. The happiest people in the United States of America, okay, are single, unmarried women without children. And there is
The childless cat ladies, you mean?
the childless cat ladies.
Well, what do you know?
And listen, Scott Galloway, to when he pisses me off sometimes in this conversation. He's a smart man. I like him a lot, but he talks about this, about how women don't get as much out of marriages as men do in this culture because of like the stresses and the things that are put on us. And there's often, there's women leaving marriages when they get into their 40s and 50s and their kids leave the house because for the first time they're like, wait a second.
There's more to me than raising my
I don't
kids
need
and
to
being a
do
wife.
this.
Right.
Yeah. And not to say like, listen, being married for a long time is wonderful. It's a beautiful thing.
Right.
But
We're
like,
not talking about that. We're just saying that there are options now, and
freedom.
the dynamics, right. The dynamics in marriages are different. Correct.
Right. And the freedom that they talk about and the freedom that they preach is only for themselves. It's the freedom to be a white Christian male who is straight. And that is your option. And if you are not, you are to be there to serve in whatever capacity, and if you are a woman, to kick babies out of yourself.
That's right. No,
Until
that's exactly right.
It's
yes, Monique, very, very, very good observation.
Well,
I don't see many brown faces in that crowd. Yeah, that's for damn sure. Okay, yeah. There are so many things wrong with virtually every sentence that came out of that mother thumber's mouth that that's one of the few times that we've ever like gone line by line because it's so outrageous. And not only is it outrageous and enraging, it's factually propagandized. Because it's like, oh, well, women, it was great that you went to college in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and found husbands because that's why you went there and it was successful. No, you know what? Women who've gone to college and the college admittance rates had gone up. And guess what? Women have more freedom, more financial stability, and are the wealthiest than ever in history.
Ever. Gen X and elder millennials right now, we are the first group of women in the history of the world to have been given a chance to have, to Tara's point, and we talk about this often. We talked about it on yesterday with Shannon Watts.
Yep.
About, we have the freedom to be financially independent. We have the freedom to make choices about ourselves. Until recently, we had freedom to make choices about our own bodies. And isn't that funny how that's the first thing that they go for? And
first thing they go for.
What's coming next? I mean, our birth control is coming next.
Oh, they've said it. It's part of the list. They're going down the Project 2025 checklist.
Which Josh Hawley's wife, who is an attorney, by the way, an educated woman, is using her education and her expertise to go after women's rights, which is just quite frankly insane.
But that's why they put women in these positions, because they why do you think Christine Noem,
Caroline Leavitt?
Well, that's correct. And Christy Noem as DHS secretary doing all this evil, horrible shit. Okay. This Gestapo level shit. It's to try to give it a softer, face on it because it's a woman behind it. So it can't possibly be that barbaric. This is a bitch that shot her puppy. Okay.
Yeah.
So she can't be barbaric. She's terrible. So don't be fooled because they're just using women as props.
Did you see she was in the hospital yesterday?
I don't give a fuck.
I mean, she had an allergic reaction. Okay. But then Midas Touch, did you see this? Midas Touch was reporting that the day before she had been to a biohazard site with Bobby Kennedy.
I saw that.
I'm just
I know.
saying.
It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, since they don't believe in vaccinations or protections and things like that. So who the hell knows? I mean, listen, she deserves anything that's happening to her.
Oh yeah, she's an absolute wicked,
horrid,
terrible witch of everywhere.
Correct. And so she can fuck off.
So anyways, I mean, it's they cannot take it It's
No.
like they don't know what to do with themselves.
No.
I mean, like, just watch them like talk about it. And they're
Mhm.
so sure that they're right, which is the other thing that's crazy. And we've got a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, wars starting, people, how many wars have been started by women in this world? I can't think of any.
Well, maybe because of, but not by.
Well, for whatever
Right?
reason. I
No,
mean,
I know.
and it's like, like, look at the women in all of our lives, our mothers, our aunts, our sisters, our friends with kids. Tara and I don't have kids, but we watch our friends raise their kids, and it's like,
Yes.
who's the one who knows the doctor's appointments? They know the blood types, they know the medications, they know the time to pick up from practice, they know where the socks are, they know how to do the, like, it's the women who are keeping their families together. It's the women
Yes.
who are keeping
Of course.
everyone's lives together. And it's
Listen,
like,
there's a reason why God chose
Yeah.
women to be
Yeah.
mothers, to birth
Yeah.
children. Okay,
Yeah.
we all have
Yeah.
our we're
It's true.
multitaskers by
It's true.
nature.
And to give my dad some credit too, that thing with Charlie Kirk,
Yeah,
I had seen it like earlier in the day, like you guys in the chat with Joe and
yeah,
Julian had sent it, but like my dad sent that to me. And he was like, I think you should show this on the show because it's awful. And I think it would be pertinent to your conversation.
I love.
And I'm
Papa
like,
Kinney.
yeah, I know. But I was like,
Papa
did you know what I'm
Kinney.
saying?
Yes,
And that's from my 75-year-old dad. So,
yes.
it
It speaks volumes about where we are, and it's another example of why, especially for us here at Seneca, like it's our year anniversary, and when we started Seneca Project, this is why. It was because we needed to show women and the country the type of people we were dealing with and how they actually felt about us as women.
Yeah.
And where we would potentially be headed if these people got into power. Now, obviously, the election results weren't what we wanted them to be, but there was some success down ballot, and we saw in a lot of these measures to codify reproductive rights in 6 out of the 7 states where it was on the ballot. Of course, Florida being the only one because it's Florida.
Because they had some weird threshold that made no sense.
Correct, 60% as opposed to 50 plus 1. But this is real, and women's rights, as Ruth Ben-Ghiat, who's on our advisory board, the historian, she says that authoritarian regimes, they come for women because they see women being free and women's rights as a threat to the state. We are a threat to an authoritarian state, and look at what they're doing to us.
There's a reason why Elon Musk goes on these rampages saying that empathy is a weakness. And it should be eradicated because women are inherently,
empaths.
We are empaths because we are of the earth. We create and grow lives.
We create
in
life.
Our bodies.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so, we think about that year ago. And
I was like, I look at that picture. I'm like, who is that?
Yeah.
Who are those people?
Listen, look how fabulous you look.
I feel like
that it was such a great moment for us. It was so thrilling for us because we had gone through a lot to get to that point. And for us to make our debut the way we did, there were a lot of headwinds and lack of support.
There's a lot of people who didn't want us to do it. There were people who didn't want us to succeed. There were people who wanted to put us in a box and keep us down.
That's correct. And we're actively in opposition to us doing this.
Actively trying to hurt us.
Correct. That is correct. There were a lot of obstacles, and we overcame them and said, too bad, we're going to do what we're doing because we believe so strongly in it. And we started this from scratch with our own money. And
of which we didn't have that much.
No,
like it really was like rubbing pennies together, but we did it.
Still are actually, but I mean, it's been a labor of love, but it's like any startup, and we're grateful that we had support from folks on our advisory board, Mary Trump and others that helped pitch in to launch us as well.
Yes.
And and just a big thank you to Nicole Wallace. She gave us 2 segments on her show. That is an incredible amount of time in an hour. And she believed so strongly in what we were doing. And the answer to your question, Brian, is no.
No.
In the comments.
Absolutely no.
Absolutely
like
no.
No.
Emphatically
and
no.
Yeah.
And then some. And she was so gracious and so supportive. And it was letting us launch on her show was such a major achievement for us.
It was like a game changer.
It really was. It gave us credibility right away. I mean, I'd been on her show many times. We know each other, but she didn't have to do that. And when I approached them about, hey, this is what we're doing, here's our first ad, it was a absolutely no questions asked, like, I can't wait to do this for you. And so we're grateful for her for that. And here we are a year later. We're still here. We're still fighting to survive in this environment because, you know, it's hard.
In many ways.
In many ways. I mean, it's hard for women-led organizations. People just don't want to fund you. And it's, you know,
therein lies some of that, right? And I just want to, and I don't say this just about us, right? This is with any women-led organization.
Yes.
Is that there is this inherent bias, implicit bias that is baked into these sorts of things in politics and in business too, right? That men are just given less doubt. There's an automatic trust that they must know what they're talking about. And, you know, they're the bosses and wow, this seems great. Women have to prove themselves over and over and over and over. And even then, people have a tendency, even if they don't mean to pat you on the head and be like, well, little girl.
Yeah.
And it's real.
It's
and like
real.
it's not just stuff you're seeing in rom-coms and like
No.
on TV. Like this stuff happens in real life, and it's not just us.
It's been an experience this last year. It's been eye-opening for me on a lot of levels too.
Yes, and I mean, women-led organizations that we know, but also, you know, journalists that you would recognize their names who have left their, you know, places and to try to go start new things. And it's like they sit in a room with investors, and who gets all the money? The men.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's true.
And that's why your support for the Seneca Project. I know there's a lot of people watching who have clicked and shared and, you know,
been with us from the beginning.
Been with us from the beginning and sent $5 or sent a lot more than $5. And like every little bit counts. And that's, you know, we had a little bit of a fundraising goal this week. We wanted to raise $2,500 for our first anniversary. And so we're still trying to, you know, we're trying to reach that goal this week. And we think we can, of course, with everyone's support. And because the money goes to making more content. The money goes to getting the message out.
Yep. Someone asked, like, are you working on a new video? We have lots of content, but making those videos is contingent upon how much money we're able to raise, because we have to pay our editors, and then it costs money to place them if we want more people to see them. And so, and believe me, we would put out new content every
every day.
Couple days, every day if we could. If it is literally a budget contingent. So
everything's rosy. Where to donate? Add deets. We'll drop it in the chat. Thank you so much, Rosie, for asking.
Yes,
you
can go to our website.
senecaproject.us, and there's a donate tab right at the top of the website, and you can go there and
and also, by the way, if you buy merch, the merch is considered a donation. So for the childless cat ladies who are childless cat ladies and proud, we have a childless cat lady t-shirt. It has a black cat on it, by the way.
It does.
It does. Before we had Rafi, it was
I know
it
was gratuitous.
It was prophetic. We couldn't do a tuxedo for Tiki, so rest in peace,
true, right? I know.
But we have all kinds of cool merch. The newest stuff now is our Webby speech, American Girls Never Back Down. That was our Webby acceptance speech, because it can only be 5 words. And so we've got shirts. I wore one for the No Kings rally last Saturday. If you guys saw our pictures, I had one of the tank tops on. But
I forgot to load them in. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You can go to our Instagram and they're there. But we have tank tops and mugs and hats and all kinds of things for the American Girl stuff. So if you want to get it in time for 4th of July and wear your American Girls Never Back Down, you can.
Yeah.
So and that's all considered. Our merch shop is considered. They're considered donations whenever you buy things. So,
and if you're watching on YouTube, I have figured out, because Tara and I do all the things. We have a very small team, and so we do all the things. I finally figured out via many Google searches how to connect our store to the YouTube channel. So in one of the tabs, if you're on your desktop or phone or whatever, go to the store tab, and you can also shop via the YouTube channel as well, which is great.
Yes. So that's another opportunity. So we're grateful and we're thankful to everyone that supports us. That's true. What Michelle said, every dollar goes toward what we do. And, it's, and the more support we work very hard to try to get folks to help support us more so that we can do that. It's exhausting, but it's just kind of
worth it.
It's the nature of the beast here. And we're glad for it. And, some people are like, well, people think that you guys were funded by no. We are solely funded by our small dollar donors and a handful of a few generous folks that have written us a couple of very nice checks. Thank you very much. But we've got to build the coffers because the midterms are coming. There's a race here in Virginia. There's a race in New Jersey. I'll be in Richmond this weekend with the
we had a phone call
Democratic
just
Caucus.
we had a phone call just last night, like talking through ideas of how to help Abigail Spanberger because she just won her primary. So, lots of stuff that we can be doing.
It's nonstop, and so we're ready. We've got the machinery, we've got the weaponry. We just need the ammunition. So
unfortunately, Heidi, and I always see you, and thank you so much.
Yes.
We love you, Heidi. The law says that it has to come from within the United States, but I appreciate you asking.
But we appreciate you. You can support us by spreading the word with our content. That helps too. The more people know, the better.
Absolutely.
That's another way to spread the word. So
but there was that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, so Jacqueline said, Tara and Michelle, please pitch the DNC to run their messaging. Jacqueline, that is a non-starter, unfortunately. They're very set in their ways. They have their own people, and we are involved in some of their creator things, and we're in some of those meetings, and we see what they're doing, but they have their own way of doing things, and we'll just leave it at that. It's not the way we would do things.
Well, there was a story that was published even just tonight about all the infighting within the DNC. Like Ken Martin is butting heads with everybody. The woman from the teachers union,
Randy Weingarten, right?
She just quit.
Her and another person
because of Ken Martin. They ousted David Hogg, which was like whatever. I don't really even know how I feel about that, to be honest. But
he was speaking truth about
the
situation. Just the way he went about it wasn't kosher.
Yeah. Ken Martin has to go. I mean, I agree.
I mean,
I think Ben Wickler was the better choice.
He was. I like Ben. I've met him, and he would have been great. Yeah.
Well, there was one last story, Tara, that I know you asked me to pull.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So I can throw that up if you'd like.
Yes.
I think it's really interesting. And it's, again, a story in this crazy week that we've just had that no one is talking about, but is very, 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 very important. Demetrius, no.
The answer is an emphatic no. Yes. You got there before I did.
I saw it out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You want to tee it up, Michelle? Go ahead.
I will. So the United States Army has sworn in 4 tech executives as lieutenant colonels to the National Guard. Lieutenant colonels. My sister-in-law was in the United States Marine Corps for 20 years and was because you get, promoted, right? And a lot goes into that. To reach lieutenant colonel, she had to go through quite a lot. 2 wars. And these 4 just kind of waltz in.
Marine JAG. Okay.
Yeah.
Michelle's sister-in-law is a badass.
Yeah.
Continue.
So I'll just read a couple lines here. June 13th, the Army will officially, they already did, officially swear in 4 tech leaders. It is an effort to recruit senior tech executives to serve part-time in the Army Reserve as senior advisors. Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonels are Shaiman Sankar. He is the Chief Technology Officer of Palantir. Now, if you don't, Palantir is the company that is invested heavily by Peter Thiel, which is has a huge contract with the United States government to surveil all of us.
Yep.
Andrew Bosworth, Chief Technology Officer of Meta, which is Facebook and everything, right? Which we know what they've been up to. Kevin Weil, Chief Product Officer of OpenAI, which is like the ChatGPT, right? Which is, again, gathering more data about all of us. And Bob McGrew, advisor at Thinking Machines Lab and a former chief research officer for OpenAI. So this is the 4 of them.
AI. This is awful. I can't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, this is the photo of them being sworn in. Okay, so this is I think this is Business Insider, right? Saying the transformation effort, blah 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 blah. Here's just a breakdown. They're defending the decision. They're saying that we've done this before. That William Atterbury was the president of the American Railway Association, received a direct commission into the Army in 1917, and served as the Director General of Transportation in the American. Yes. Okay.
1917, it was World War I. Okay.
Thank you.
Not the same, for fuck's
Notable
sake.
other examples: President of Columbia Gas Electric Corporation in New York, Edward Reynolds, who commissioned Army Colonel to serve in the Chief of Medical Supply Service during World War II. These are very vastly, Director of Production for the War Department. Like, I guess, yes,
there was a draft. A lot of people got drafted into the Army. I mean, like, what? This is not the same thing. This is
not
dangerous. It's dangerous. It's insulting to everyone that's had to work hard and go through training and everything that they do.
Well, that's the other thing.
Like,
they don't have to do. They don't have to go through basic. They don't have to go through basic.
They don't have to go through anything.
Anything. And they said that they're going to do a little bit of training, and like that was
get the fuck out of here, please.
Yeah. So
Peter Thiel's going to do training,
right? Well, he's not one of the four.
I know,
but yeah, I mean, no, of course not. It says, okay, and this is important. All four of the executives now work at companies investing heavily in emerging fields like AI and machine learning, two subjects that the Army is looking to fold into future weapon systems, because this is a whole nother rabbit hole to go down, is AI drones, predator drones, which is just honestly terrifying.
We've seen the movies. It never ends well.
Exactly. So here's two of them. This is Bosworth and Sankar. And then the next two, this is McCrew and Weil, because I think it's important to see what they really look like in real life, because I think when you're seeing them in the uniform, it kind of exudes a certain kind of officialness, like, well, is it, there's a visceral reaction. Yeah, like they're tech guys. They're like white collar
pros.
Yeah, and there was one line here at the bottom. The four are each also multimillionaires several times over. So, I think that this is really alarming. I think it's very alarming.
That guy looks like the thumb number 2.
He does. Yeah.
Yes,
Eileen.
There's a certain look for all of these people. And it's not by accident, they're all cut from the same horrible cloth. And Rafi's awaking from his snooze. He's been laying here on my hand.
My cats have been running and fighting. So,
oh my God, he's been laying here. But yes, all Curtis Yarvin a-holes. This is correct. And this is part of a much more insidious plan. And this, again, flew under the radar. This has all been in the last week, people. The last week. So it's important for us to keep paying attention. It's important to shed light on these things, because while Donald Trump is doing the crazy shit that, the mainstream media chases constantly, all of this is happening.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
And I don't know if you know this.
But not really.
Right. I mean, it's there, and like they say the quiet part out loud, so it almost it desensitizes us, right?
Yes.
So we're forced to normalize it almost in a way, just to kind of move on with life. Yeah. And I don't know if you know this, because
it's called I think it's called hyper-normalization or something. There's a term for it about what's happening, where it's just like, well, it's just a shrug, keep it moving, and then people just they're not outraged anymore. They just let it go.
Right. Because
Palantir sponsored the military parade.
Oh my God. Wait. Can we talk about that really quick?
Yes. To.
So the $100 million, don't believe this $45 million nonsense. It was like $100 million. Birthday parade for Donald Trump had corporate sponsors, which is like, huh?
Right. Crypto, Coinbase, right? Crypto.
Coinbase. There is a clip of them marching, like whatever. And it was like, this march or whatever brought to you by Coinbase. And I was like, I'm sorry, is this a joke?
Yeah, it was gross.
And then they had active duty Army out on the mall handing out energy drinks in cans, for like guerrilla marketing kind of things, for a company that's owned by Dana White, who, if you don't know who Dana White is, he owns and runs the UFC.
Who, by the way, is on the board now of Facebook, of Meta. Did you know that? So today I was listening to Bloomberg, because I couldn't take the other news. So I listened to Bloomberg, and they had a podcast recap of this podcast they did about Mark Zuckerberg's political change, because he'd be like all about DEI and like whatever. And they were saying how now that he's like this MAGA bro and this transformation, and people were asking like, why, what happened? And basically it was because Joe Biden called out Facebook for the misinformation that was being pushed during COVID that was getting people killed. And he said they're killing people. And that pissed off Mark Zuckerberg. And he, from that point forward, decided that's it.
Yeah, because he's a little bitch.
Yes, correct. And he has no ideology. It's all about his company,
Rosie,
power, and greed.
Big fan, Rosie. Just big fan. Just gotta tell you.
Yes.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes.
And I, like, if anybody reads the I think it's Dangerous or Careless People, the whistleblower book about Meta, she talks about how his closest circle, the ones who travel with him when he started to get into diplomacy, you know, however many years ago, 10 years ago or plus, that they would, his favorite thing to do was play board games. And so they would sit around and play board games with Mark Zuckerberg. And like, she started to like kind of nudging him a little bit and trying, like, getting competitive. And everybody looked at her like she was crazy. She was like, wait, what are you talking? There was an unspoken rule that you were to let Mark Zuckerberg win at every single game in the thing. And he started to get like ornery and upset that he was losing. And that's the thing. Like, these men are so emotional. They are so emotional. They are so fragile. They cannot handle anything. They cannot handle criticism. I know. I'm like, they're gossips, all of them. Like the biggest gossips on the planet. And they talk about each other, and they're bitter and petty and everything else.
And
like,
they're the snowflakes. The fuck your feelings people are the most fragile egoed little in the pants bitches ever.
Like the small in the pants parade, as
Joe calls it. JoJo says.
But they can't take any accountability. They cannot like stand being called out for any mistakes.
Nope.
They don't take responsibility for anything that they've done. And that's why, and you know, and listen, tech is also male heavy and very, very white. And there is a reason why the tech universe and their culture and MAGA are doing this, because there's a lot of crossover in terms of like worldview and culture. And that's not a mistake. That's not a mistake.
Correct. That's correct. And so that was another part of his transformation here, just like Jeff Bezos.
Right. All of a sudden he had this like the curly hair, and he had this like big chain.
I
and he was
can't.
Like, I'm
I
like,
can't.
what
I
is
cannot.
happening?
I cannot.
He's
that
such a loser.
So bad.
I can't. Like, I have friends who were at Harvard with him, and I'm just like, I can't. Like, I was in college when Facebook came out. Like,
I was not. I was a grown ass adult. But and I was like, what is this Facebook thing? And I was actually one of the interns. Yeah, the Facebook. One of the interns in our office. I worked in Capitol Hill at the time, who was like, oh my God, Tara, come on, you should check it out. And I was like, I was a MySpace person. Yeah, I was a MySpace person. And then because I was like, oh, I could put songs and I could do like graphics and stuff. I thought it was cool. And they were like, no. I was like, this Facebook thing is so plain. I was like, what is this? And the rest is history. That was 2008. And here we are.
It changed the world.
Literally.
And I don't think
The Social Network is a great movie. When I went to Harvard, oh my God, when I went to Harvard, the first thing I wanted to do was go find Kirkland. I was like, where's Kirkland?
And I saw The Social Network when I was in Boston.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. And I was obsessed with Kirkland. And so, which is just so stupid, right? So
whatever. I mean, it's such a great movie.
It was such a great movie.
And the score is amazing. I mean, Atticus, the 9 Inch Nails guys did the score. And it's really, it's incredible.
That explains it. Yeah. And so I have these wine glasses that I got from an event we had there with the fellows. And I was and so like the houses have their own little like coat of arms things or whatever, and you know, all the different houses at Harvard. And I was like, oh my God, I have Kirkland wine glasses. I'm such a nerd. I was very excited about this. I mean, you know, forget everything else. Between Kirkland and the fraternity, the secrets, the Priscillian, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, where is that? I was like, I want to know where that is. And the Phoenix.
Right. Like, I've actually never been to the campus before.
Oh, it's so nice. I love going.
I'm sure it is. It's like super old, and like Boston's
and it's right along. It's right along the Charles River.
It's a beautiful city.
It's beautiful there. Yeah. So
Boston's
anyway,
a cool city.
Well, we have, I think, thoroughly covered it all for now.
Yeah.
Not
Facebook
all,
movie who played Zuckerberg is Jesse Eisenberg,
and brilliantly played him.
Yeah,
he's a great actor.
And he's also like knows more musical theater trivia than anyone will ever know in their entire lives. Jesse
He's
Eisenberg's
hysterical. And if
Yeah.
you guys listen to Smartless, because it's one of my favorite podcasts. I love those guys. I feel like they're my besties. He does a great interview on Smartless with Jesse Eisenberg. And you really get a sense like he's kind of quirky like that and like that dry, quick sense of humor. He's and very self-deprecating. He's a very interesting, super smart guy. So I encourage everybody to listen to that.
His movie
And brilliant.
Was A Real Pain, really good.
Oh, it was so good. I saw it on the plane. Coming back from
Karen
Morocco.
was really good in that too.
It was really good.
It was a great movie.
Well done.
The last thing I just want to show, it's like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay? It's, you know how Jon Stewart does Moment of Zen at the end of the show. Okay, Eric Adams, who just to bring it back to I hate him more than most people.
Bringing it full circle today.
Full circle. So he's running as an independent. Okay. So he's like not really in the primary, right? And Curtis Siwa is going to be the Republican nominee. Who's
Shut up.
I'm not kidding.
No.
He was last time too.
He's still around?
Yes. He was the Republican nominee last time.
Oh my God.
Curtis Siwa, who is like loves cats. I mean, I'll give him that. But he like started this vigilante group. He's like
the Guardian Angels.
Yeah, like he was around like with Giuliani. He wears like the beret and all this stuff.
I remember.
He's nutty. So he's running.
Like
and this is why, like
50 years ago in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he's running as a Republican, and then Eric Adams is running as an independent. And then we have this Democratic primary. So Eric Adams, tell me one thing this man has done other than go to the club. I couldn't tell you. So he put this online today and he was like, come with me as I get stuff done today. So just watch this.
Okay, got it. So I'm gonna go into a private meeting. Take care. Right.
All he did was walk and have someone hand him his jacket.
EJG, I don't know. That is a great question. What did he do?
I can't, this guy. Oh my God. I was this week, I had an opportunity to hang out with the New York Attorney General, Tish James, at a Juneteenth celebration dinner. She is fantastic. And
yeah,
I just want to give someone from New York some props since because Eric Adams sucks. Tish James is a rock star badass and super down to earth and super cool. And everyone should support her. She was cracking jokes about if Donald Trump ever jails her, but I was like, don't joke about that.
Yeah, don't joke about that. It's not funny.
I mean, with the way things are going, you never know. Yeah, shout out to the New York Attorney General and shout out to Kathy Hochul, who was like tough
Kathy
this week.
She was,
yes, I was like, keep that up. We need that energy, Kathy Hochul. That's the energy we need.
Getting out of the back of a car is doing stuff now, apparently.
Yeah, and getting your jacket handed to you by your assistant.
Yeah, and then later going to the club.
I don't know. I don't know
until he does. I couldn't tell you what he does. I don't know what he does, but he does that. He just rides around and then, that's it.
New York will be so much better when he's no longer there. It'll be much better.
I mean, I hope it's going to be a three-way race.
Oh, between the votes.
The split vote. I don't know who's going to win. I mean, I'm serious. I don't know. And JVL, okay, just really quick at the Bulwark, the Sarah Longwell and Tim Miller and JVL did like a postmortem after the Zoran interview.
Yeah,
you should go watch it. It's great. It actually made me feel a lot better about my opinions. But JVL was talking about it, and like, by the way, none of them are fans. But JVL also did like a corresponding Substack about this, and he was like, and maybe it wasn't National Review, but like it was something like National Review. It would be like if the National Review put into ChatGPT and said, give me a bunch of candidates, like the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Predictable. I don't know. Just like cartoonish candidates you can possibly think of. Go. And it's like Cuomo it's Zoran, it's Eric Adams, it's
Right.
Curtis Sewa.
I can't believe Curtis Lewa is still around and still like, he's got, what is he like, 75, 80 years old
Yeah.
now?
Just
My mom
walking
used to
around
tell
the
me
Upper West
stories.
Side with his cats.
She used to tell me stories about them, about the guardian angels and stuff when she lived in New York in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like oh God.
And he's
Okay.
got this like that satin red jacket that he wears too.
Yeah, and the beret thing. He's been on
Yeah, and the
radio for
beret.
years.
He lives on the Upper West Side and he
Yeah.
walks around with his cats outside.
Oh well, at least he's a cat guy,
He's a
right?
cat
Well,
guy.
Rafi likes that.
It's just,
all right.
you know, I just say that like no matter what we do, it's not. And I say all this because I think it does apply to our conversation overall.
100%.
Is that New York City is the capitalist capital of the country, if not the world.
Mhm.
Capitalism like comes here and lives here and breathes here. We are the largest city in the country. We're also Donald Trump's hometown, and he's trying to already use us as an example for the rest of the country with all these threats that he's making about ICE and everything else. If we don't have someone who's like a normal person who's running this city in a
Mhm.
normal way, there's going to be a target on our back bigger
Mhm.
than ever, and it's going to be an anvil that is going to be hung around the necks of the Democrats for the next 4 years.
Absolutely.
And like that's why this is really, really important.
That's so
And
true.
there
That's what we
are
were
no-
talking about. That Tish James and
Yeah.
I were talking about that. We were also talking about the governor's race and how important it is too. That
Yeah.
we, you know, I was telling her, I was like, Kathy Hochul has got to, this was on Monday. I was like, Kathy Hochul has got to be tougher. And,
Yeah.
you know, she's
And
like,
she was, and then she did.
and then she was. I was like, did she hear me? Like, she must have heard me. And I texted Tish James and I said, with the clip, and I said, I think she heard us.
And she
So
did. I mean, she said bullshit, and I was like, yeah, Kathy.
I was like, yes, that's, and it felt like authentic because sometimes
Yeah.
you don't want it to be true, whatever. But yeah,
I know
but that's
she's
what we
from
need.
Buffalo. I'm like, all right, be Buffalo. You know what I mean? So
exactly,
So
you know,
she's an
that-
upstater. But anyways, this all matters in the
Yes.
grand scheme of things as we go into 2026 and especially 2028, assuming that we're going to have free and fair elections. All this stuff really does matter. And so all eyes on New York City really right now, because whoever wins this Democratic primary is going to be the front runner. Normally,
Yeah.
I would just say they're the winner. But now
Yeah.
that we are going to have a three-way race, like this is.
Yeah, it's a anyone's
Not
race
great.
at that point. It's one to watch, and it's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
So
And an SU grad. That's right, Eileen. Kathy Hochul went to Syracuse.
oh, did she? Oh, well, there
Mhm.
you go. Even
Yep.
more reason to like her, right, Michelle?
Exactly.
Your alma
exactly.
mater.
And she's very tiny. She's like my height.
Is she that small?
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe like a
wow.
little bit taller, but like, yeah, she's
Listen.
very small.
Tiny but mighty. I call her Mighty Minnie Kinney. Well,
Well,
on that
Tara,
note, guys,
this has been a wonderful conversation.
Yes,
This has been a lot of
yes.
fun. Thank you everyone for joining us. Tara, do you have anything you want to tell people about? Anything coming up?
Yeah, well, let's see. Well, we have our show on Saturday morning,
Saturday
our
at
Coffee and
10.
Conversation. Make sure to
Mhm.
tune into that with Julie Roginski and JoJo from Jurors. I will not be there this Saturday. I will be at the Virginia Women's Democratic
Oh, right.
Caucus breakfast in Richmond,
Mhm.
representing Seneca, getting ourselves, fully read in on
Immersed.
what's happening. Yes, we're immersing ourselves into Virginia politics so that we can have an impact here and make sure that Abigail Spanberger wins. Virginia is going to make history no matter what, because there's two women running for governor, and they've never had a woman governor here in Virginia.
Yeah.
So they're about to get one, and we need to make sure it's not an insane
And
one.
that Virginia race is always like the first check.
It's a bellwether.
On
It's a
on
bellwether.
the new
That's right.
administration. Yeah.
So it needs to be an overwhelming victory in Virginia for the sane people who are the Democrats and not the crazy MAGAs that are trying to take over Virginia. So that's where I'll be on Saturday, but hang out with the gals, depending on what time that breakfast is over. Maybe I'll pop in, but Rafi, do you have anything you want to say? Anything you want to tell anybody? No? Okay. So that's it. That's it for my announcements, but we'll be back next week.
All right, we'll be back next week, guys. Please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. It really does help us out immensely when you do that. Please like and share the content on all the platforms if you can, if you want to. It's really helpful to us. And I think that I'm just going to play us out with our very first ad that we debuted on Nicole Wallace.
Yes, we're going to take a trip down memory lane. This was a time for choosing.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I don't have it loaded. I hate everything.
Oh,
Sorry.
no. It's so good, too. Michelle and I
know.
literally wrote this. I was in the parking lot of a hotel in Jersey and talking to Michelle. I was, I don't know what I was doing up there at that time. And Rafi, no, we're not going to do that. And I gave Michelle the idea of going to listen to a Ronald Reagan's famous "A Time for Choosing" speech. Because I'm like, you don't know that speech? And what did
I'm
you
like,
say?
no,
Michelle?
I'm not a Republican. I don't watch Reagan speeches for fun. Like, I don't.
Truth.
I spent my whole life thinking that he was the devil. I don't, you know what I mean?
I
It's,
know.
you know, so it's loading. Just give me a second.
Yes, no, I think it's worth telling the backstory for the people who don't know it. It's also, if you haven't watched our original interview with Nicole Wallace, it's good to go back and watch it because you know us now, and so if you see what we talked about and what we had envisioned for Seneca and for the election, and then here we are a year later. It's like quite the trip down memory lane. It feels like it was 10 freaking years ago.
It was,
But,
and it was really overwhelming, and it was really scary for me.
Michelle was so scared, and I told her, stop being scared. You're going to be fine. And
I had
said,
to have my doctor
back.
call in a beta blocker.
She did. This is a true story, people.
But it helped me. That's why I look so calm.
Well, I mean, look, I've never taken any of those things, and so, but I hear
one time in my whole life, because I was like, if I don't, I'm going to like collapse live on television, and we don't want that. So, because I was so nervous.
And
so, anyways,
and look at you now. You're a natural, honey. You're a natural.
Well, on that note, I have it loaded in. A Time for Choosing. This is the original version with the Joe Biden, because when he was still the candidate and everything. So
remember, this was June of 2024.
Yeah, June 18th, 2024.
Yes.
And we'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
The Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade and ended a woman's constitutional right to an abortion.
We trust women. There's a threat facing women in America that transcends party lines.
My country doesn't care about me.
And it's time we ask ourselves, do we still value the freedoms we have fought so hard for?
We should all have the care that we need.
This election is a choice, and it is a time for choosing. We're told we have to choose between left or right, but we know what the real choice is. It's a choice between our freedom or their control, between our right to determine our own destinies or Donald Trump. So seriously, America, what the hell are we doing? We can't sit on the sidelines while women in America suffer and die because a right we once had has now been criminalized. If we don't make the right choice, there's no state to escape to. There's no going back. Choosing who will shape our future is a right we still have left for now. And that choice is up to us.